And we're back after that quick break. I always gotta listen to Elliott Smith. You can never go wrong with him, honestly. But there's one that I haven't really spoken about, and this is something I got into very recently, TikTok. Now, for those of you who don't know, it actually started as a Chinese app, and people could kind of submit their short videos. Like, think of it as Vine. But rather than, revolving around like these little 15-second skits, they are more music, they more revolve around music, and people will play, like, a song in the background, and they'll, do their thing, and one of my favorite, sort of thing memes that have gotten over in TikTok, is, if you've heard the Young Gravy song, Cheryl, I obviously cannot play it here, you guys will know why when you listen to it. The line, "Juice sauce, a little bit of dressing." So people will put it with their dogs or, like, their cats or their ferrets. I don't know why, like, people there's so many ferrets on TikTok. Like, people will film their ferrets doing, like, all sorts of stuff. Like, ferrets are crazy. Like, there was a video of one where he was literally running with a plunger and oh, this is one of my favorite accounts. Let me get the handle because, honestly, I can't tell you how much I love this account, and I want you all to go follow it if you do have TikTok. And the thing is, you don't necessarily have to make videos with it, and you could just kind of mess around and watch like other people's stuff. Where is this guy? I'm gonna tell you his name once I find it. No, that's a French. I love French bulldogs. Oh my god, there's another really good so one of my favorite channels is, Des Depresso Espresso Boys, so their handle is at d.e.boys. They probably made my favorite TikTok video of all time, and they don't make stuff often, but when they do, it's just great. Like, these people are literally amateur filmmakers, and that's the other thing about, this app. You will get some people who are kind of amateur filmmakers, and this may be their first time experimenting with filmmaking and stuff. I'm just trying to find this guy's account and I can't find it. Almost there. I'm gonna find it. Oh, people, yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here. And then there's this other account. They're just these British schoolboys, and they just mess around in their like, I guess, the yard or whatever. I don't know, like, it's a schoolyard or something. And I find that account really funny. Where is this guy's account? I'm like, I literally so okay, so basically when you go on TikTok, find a duck named Jerry, you will find this account. And this is the same account that produced the video of the ferret carrying the plunger, which I found funny, AF. So with that in mind, I'm also gonna discuss movies because why not? Wait, actually, can I might have my show right here. I'm just kind of debating on it because I have homework and then yeah, I have all this stuff I gotta do. Wait a second. Yo, this is like my first shot. I was like, what do I say next? Oh, thank you, rescue me. Oh, actually, we have some stuff in Iona's vicinity that we should be talking about. Probably the biggest news story to break out this week is that President Nair will be leaving the college and will be taking a role at Seton Hall, which is in New Jersey. And the funny thing is, of course, he's been the president since like I've been here, and I don't know if there's any students left that were here before he started here, but overall it was kind of like I don't know, I found it weird to see him on campus, especially since my in my family everyone went to a much bigger school, so just seeing the president of your college kind of casually was like I don't know, a bit of a shock to me, I guess, but he was always very nice when he did see people, he'd say hi and things like that. And then there was that whole thing where there was all that stuff going on at the high school down the road, and he was there to give a little talk about, we're fine. Actually, New Rochelle is relatively safe if you consider it against cities of a similar size in terms of their crime rate and stuff. And he was there to make everyone feel safe. So he will be leaving, I think, at the end of the year. I don't know what's going to happen with like who's going to be the new president of the school or anything like that. So we'll just have to see where it goes. And the other thing that I did want to mention, of course, Mariano Rivera got an unanimous vote Hall of Fame, baseball Hall of Fame, obviously. And people were saying, "Oh, Ken Griffey should have totally gotten in full ballot," but eh, literally you don't just revolutionize a pitch and not get into the Hall of Fame like that. It's it's a little more than that. So he obviously got into the Hall of Fame. He will actually be here next week talking about relationships and marriage with his wife that will be in Romita, which all of you know it's the library. I feel like none of you set foot in the library until like May when you actually have finals. I'm serious. I don't think like well everyone calls it the Harry Potter room. I just call it the quiet room, even though personally I go to the third floor to study because that is much quieter because nobody goes up there. So it's great when like you have to write a paper and you need like dead silence. And that's where I've like studied a lot, especially during finals week. But the green room, where most people will sit because it's pretty and stuff. I did. I've not seen anyone in there for the past like 2 or 3 weeks. Like you could like when you're walking, you could kind of look into the window and see like into the room, but I have not seen anyone there for the past couple of weeks, which I find really funny. But with that in mind, actually, I want to discuss a movie I just watched. I actually finally saw Incredibles 2. Now, for me personally, until Inside Out came out, The Incredibles was my favorite movie of the Pixar films. And people say, "Oh, Toy Story's better." I mean, I like Toy Story, but I thought it was okay. I don't think. Now, of course, I'm gonna give it credit for being the first fully computer animated film, and that's probably why people see it in such a high regard because when somebody does something first, they have it. Like people will kind of look at it and say, "Oh, this thing did it first. That's why they're the best." But of course, Pixar, improved their craft over the years and stuff like that. So I saw Incredibles 2. It was put on Netflix like maybe 2, 3 days ago. So I finally gave it a watch. And I don't know, I thought the movie was fun. Now, I knew the villain. I mean, so did everyone. And like, I don't know, Disney has been doing this thing where they do twist villains, and I feel like they haven't really worked that well. And this one, once again, I didn't really get it. I was like, wait, what? Why are you the twist villain? Why? I mean, they did the whole grudge storyline with her. I try not to spoil over here if any of you haven't seen it, but I feel like everyone knows who the villain is at this point. But you'll see. Like when you see the movie, you're like, okay, that one's the villain. So the thing is, I didn't really get her motive that well. I feel like the motive was a bit like murky, and then her plan was kind of weird too. Maybe that's why I wasn't that invested. However, yes, the villain is sort of a main part of the movie, and that's why people have tend to rate it slow. But everything else, I really liked everything else in the movie. Like I liked how it kind of picked up from where they had left off last time. Like they were gonna fight the Underminer, and everyone we had to wait 14 years for that battle to be resolved, and the animation, which it had 14 years to get better. It certainly got better. A lot of the colors are really pretty. I enjoyed seeing other supers in the world. Like they were able to come up with some cool powers, and the stuff with Jack, I was honestly dying the whole time. I thought that stuff was really, really fun. And Violet having like sort of this like mental breakdown, and I don't know, I felt like the movie was really fun overall. Like there like I mean, yeah, you could see the villain and kind of focus on that, but just look at the other parts of a movie before you go judging it. And that's what I felt like with this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Of course, it's not going to be in my top Pixar movies of all time. And for those of you, okay, top top five. We'll just go top five. Inside Out, Incredibles, the first one. Ratatouille. Yeah, I actually need a minute to think of this. What else have they? Oh, Finding Nemo. Oh, easy. Yeah, I grew up on that movie. That was one of my favorites. I honestly think that's probably the first time I remember seeing like when you have your first memory of something, the going to see that in theaters was like my first memory of going to see a movie in the theaters, and that movie blew me away. Just like the ocean and like the comedy and the low moments. Like I thought all of that was amazing in that movie. So obviously, no, actually put Finding Nemo, swap Ratatouille and Finding Nemo. That's like they could kind of have the tie spot. And then number 5, um, I don't know, I thought Up was okay, I didn't think it was great, and of course, Peter Docter, who was the director, ended up making Inside Out, which was like, oh my god, I honestly God cannot gush over that movie enough. So, I don't know what I'm gonna put in that, 5th spot. Nah, Toy Story 3 wasn't that good, I went back and watched it, wasn't, like, great. Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure. We'll just go with the 4. Of course, if you asked me Disney movies like Disney Animation Studios, no Pixar involved, that would be a much harder ride for me. Because my choice probably for my favorite movie easily has to be Treasure Planet. And for those of you who have never seen it, and I know a lot of people have never seen it, go find it. It is so good. And the story behind the movie too is also very interesting. So Musker and Clements, who, for those of you who know, they made Aladdin, they made The Little Mermaid, they made Moana. Like they obviously are a very competent directing duo. They had been wanting to make this movie since 1980, and like since they made The Great Mouse Detective, which also I really liked. I could get into a bit of detail on that later, but just they had been wanting to make that movie for that long. They wanted to do Treasure Island, and they wanted to set it in space. Of course, people were like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This movie's gonna be bad." So then they make it in like they finally get it because they said, "Okay, if you guys make one more film that's profitable," which ended up being Hercules, and I know a lot of people like it. I actually haven't seen it yet. I should, because people are like, "Oh my god, it's so good." And so they made Hercules, and then it's like, "Okay, you guys could go make Treasure Planet now, yada yada." And I honestly really felt the passion in that movie, just how much love was put into it. And of course, it ended up being a box office bomb, and that essentially was sort of the beginning of the end to Disney's 2D animation, though it started more at I would say it kind of started either Hercules or Hunchback, even though I love Hunchback. So Treasure Planet, Hunchback, for like top I'm gonna go top 5 right now. Tangled, Great Mouse Detective, and I'll just throw Sleeping Beauty in there for good measure. I know I'm like really I'm on the hipster films, man. But to quickly discuss The Great Mouse Detective, this movie is actually a little more important than people would know, because without that movie, a lot of the stuff we had seen in Disney wouldn't have happened. So, with The Great Mouse Detective, it ended up being able to fund a movie that a lot of people know as this little film, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Without that movie and the amount of money it made, it wasn't like this box office like it didn't make a lot of money, but it made enough money to be able to fund Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then Disney, seeing that that movie was relatively well liked, they were like, okay, we're going to put a little more stock in our animation. And then we obviously got The Little Mermaid, which people love to this day. I love it. It's not one of my top 5, but people love that movie. And if you go watch it, I feel like it really is a fun one, especially Vincent Price, who many of you who don't know, he was probably like OG horror movies. He did like voiceovers for everything. And so he actually considered this, though he died a little after the movie was made. He considered that he was the villain in the movie. He considered that one of his favorite roles of all time. And this guy had been doing movies forever. So just how fun that movie was, I personally put it up there on my list. What else did I say? Oh, Tangled. That movie. I have, of course, like I grew up on that movie. I have like some good memories of it, which is why I kind of put it up there within my ranking. What else did I say? Treasure Planet. Tangled. Oh, Sleeping Beauty too. I just, of course, everyone loves Maleficent. She was such a great villain in that movie, but I also really like the animation in it. Like, compared to the other films that it surrounds, like Alice in Wonderland, which I also really like, and, I'm just thinking of movies that, like, came out in that time period, so, like, Alice in Wonderland and, like, Snow White, Pinocchio, like, things like that, Bambi, like, that movie had a really unique animation style, and any excuse to use Tchaikovsky's music is a great excuse for me. And God, what the heck did I say for my 5th? Oh, I said Tangled and then Great Mouse Detective. Alright. So yeah, those are my top Disney movies. I know other people would beg to differ. Some people like Beauty and the Beast. I thought, well, don't get me wrong. Hunchback. I didn't talk about Hunchback. My God. So just quick on Hunchback. Best soundtrack to any Disney movie. You could fight me, literally. You fight me on that. Best overall soundtrack, because they obviously took a lot of inspiration within church music and bells and things like that. And of course, just the plot of the movie, I feel like grows more relevant to the day. And of course, Tony J, rest in peace. Oh, if you watch Treasure Planet, you're gonna hear him at the beginning. He does the opening narration, which I think probably is one of the best of all time. And as I say, I recommend you go watch all of these. If you have seen them, go watch them again. So with that, I'm wrapping my show up. I got things to do. Goodbye and see you guys next week. I love y'all.